How does a company once valued at over $3 billion just disappear? We all hear the stories of giants like WeWork or Quibi. Their failures get dissected in every major headline. But what about the others? The ones that raised hundreds of millions, promised to change the world and then vanished so quietly you might not have even noticed they were gone? These are the companies that haunt Silicon Valley. Their stories aren't just about bad luck. They're about fatal business blunders and strategic miscalculations. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the startups nobody talks about. These are the cautionary tales you won't find in the headlines. But their lessons are the ones that every entrepreneur, investor, and dreamer really needs to hear. Our first story is about a company that was once the poster child for wearable tech, Jawbone. Founded way back in 1999, Jawbone was a genuine pioneer. They gave us those iconic Bluetooth headsets and the Jambox, the revolutionary wireless speaker that pretty much created its own category. With slick design and a reputation for being ahead of the curve, investors were lining up. The company raised over $900 million and at its peak, was valued at a staggering $3.2 billion. They were flying high, a titan of consumer electronics. Their next big swing was the UP bracelet, a move into fitness trackers. It was one of the first of its kind, a wrist-worn gadget that promised to revolutionize health. And for a minute, it looked like they had another smash hit. But the thrill of that flight was masking some serious danger ahead. The cracks started to show almost right away. Customers complained about massive hardware failures. The UP bracelets had battery issues, syncing problems, and many just bricked themselves after a few months. As the product failures piled up, so did the angry customers. But Jawbone failed to adequately address them, leaving users with huge wait times and zero help. The brand's reputation, once its greatest asset, started to nosedive. While Jawbone was drowning in angry emails and faulty hardware, the competition wasn't just sitting around. Fitbit was carving out a huge niche with simple, reliable trackers, and Apple was getting ready to drop the Apple Watch and change the entire game. Instead of fixing its core product, Jawbone spread itself thin, launching new devices without solving the problems of the old ones. Despite raising nearly $1 billion, the company torched its cash on flashy marketing and expensive lawsuits against Fitbit, draining resources that should have gone into making a product that actually worked. It was a classic case of a company that had all the money in the world but couldn't deliver on quality or find a sustainable market. In 2017, after years of struggling, Jawbone quietly went into liquidation and shut its doors for good. The lesson from Jawbone is brutal and clear. Funding is not a replacement for a reliable product. You can have the best design and the biggest marketing budget, but if your product is a dud, customers will walk. Reliability is king, and ignoring your customers is a death sentence. Next up, a story that's maybe the most heartbreaking of them all. It's about a company that didn't just sell a product, but a personality. A company that put lovable, futuristic robots into our homes, only to have its own plug pulled without warning. This is the story of Anki. Founded in 2010 by 3 Carnegie Mellon robotics grads, Anki was supposed to bring consumer robotics to the masses. They debuted at Apple's 2013 developer conference, and it was a huge deal. They launched with Anki Drive, a set of AI-powered toy race cars you controlled with your phone. But it was their next robots, Cosmo and Vector, that really captured everyone's imagination. Cosmo was a tiny, forklift-looking robot with a massive personality, powered by an AI emotion engine that let it react to people and its surroundings. It became one of the best-selling consumer robots in history. Vector, its successor, was an even smarter, cloud-connected robot that could recognize faces and respond to voice commands. Anki had raised over $200 million from top-tier investors, and by 2018 had sold over 6.5 million robots. They were being called the best robotics startup anyone had ever seen. But behind the curtain, a different story was playing out. The company was burning through cash. The brutal reality is that hardware is hard. Anki's business model was based on one-time hardware sales, which just couldn't cover the enormous ongoing costs of developing such sophisticated tech. Even with revenues hitting nearly $100 million in 2017, it wasn't enough to fund their long-term vision of moving from toys to more advanced home robots. The company was walking a financial tightrope, completely dependent on the next round of funding. And in April 2019, the rope snapped. A critical last-minute funding deal fell through. In a tearful all-hands meeting, the CEO announced that all 200 employees were being terminated. Anki was shutting down, effective immediately. The shutdown sent a shockwave through the tech world and left thousands of users with beloved robot friends whose futures were suddenly blank. Anki's failure was a stark lesson for the entire robotics industry. Passion and innovation aren't enough. Without a sustainable business model and a clear path to profit, even the most beloved products can be left powerless. Anki's story is a textbook example of one of the top reasons startups die. They just run out of cash. Our final story isn't about futuristic robots or billion-dollar valuations. It's about a simple idea that fell victim to a fundamental flaw. This is the story of Exec, an on-demand cleaning service, and it's a masterclass in why you have to get your numbers right. In the early 2010s, the Uber for X model was the hottest trend in Silicon Valley. Startups were trying to apply the on-demand concept to basically everything, and Exec was right there in the mix. Founded by a co-founder of Justin.tv, which later became Twitch, Exec promised you could book a professional cleaner as easily as hailing a car. The idea was simple, the market seemed huge, and it quickly got a ton of attention and funding. But Exec made a critical, and surprisingly common, mistake. Its unit economics were completely broken. In simple terms, the company was losing money on almost every single cleaning job it did. Their obsession with rapid growth and a seamless customer experience led to policies that destroyed their profits. They offered ridiculously generous refund policies that were used all the time. More importantly, their prices didn't come close to covering the actual cost of doing business. While they were focused on software and growth, they completely ignored the basic math. They were paying for expensive software engineers while selling a service for less than it cost to provide. This is a classic startup trap. You think you can lose money on each customer at first and just make it up in volume. But if your basic model is unprofitable, scaling up just means you lose money faster. You can't fix a per-transaction loss with more transactions. Unsurprisingly, Exec burned through its cash. The high operational costs and money-losing jobs created a financial hole the company just couldn't escape. In the end, the service was shut down, and the company was acquired for its talented engineers, not for its business. Exec's downfall is a stark reminder that no matter how cool your tech or how big your market is, a business has to be built on solid financial ground. You have to control your costs and price your product to be profitable. It's a lesson in basic business math. If the numbers don't add up on a small scale, they'll only lead to a bigger disaster when you're big. The stories of Jawbone, Anki, and Exec are all different, but they share a common thread. They are all cautionary tales of companies that, despite their vision, funding, and early wins, fell victim to fundamental business errors. Jawbone teaches us that no amount of money can save a product that doesn't work. Anki shows us the tough reality of the hardware business and the danger of a model that relies on endless funding. And Exec reminds us that, at the end of the day, a business just has to make financial sense. The startup graveyard is filled with silent stories just like these. They don't always make the news, but their lessons are arguably the most valuable. They teach us that success isn't just about a brilliant idea or raising a ton of cash, it's about execution, sustainable models, and a relentless focus on the fundamentals. It's about building a house on rock, not sand. What do you think is the biggest lesson from these failures? Are there any other forgotten startups whose stories we should tell? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you want more deep dives into the businesses that shape our world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.